Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have here Reverend Sovereign Lord Gregory L. Peck, ARR, Lieutenant Colonel,
Is it proper to pick your
retired.
nose on the camera?
Well, we have tons of information today. Great for those people seeking
Marcos Wealth.
Marcos well. That's what we're talking about today. Whoever out there knows about Marcos, Ferdinand Marcos,
Former president of the Philippines.
and his wealth,
That is wealth.
it's not his wealth. What do you mean it's not his wealth? As far as everybody out there talking about him, it's his wealth.
Well,
And
that's
his
the
state.
people, I understand. That's what they want the world population to think, because the actual truth, as in many of these things, the actual truth is far different than the spin. Ferdinand Marcos, first of all, was never married to Imelda Marcos. I know that firsthand from 1991 when she was in New York and was put under house arrest because she was trying to get into the bank accounts and trying to sell the condos in New York, claiming to be Mrs. Marcos. But of course, she could never establish that she was Mrs. Marcos because there was no marriage license ever issued to Ferdinand Marcos and Imelda Marcos. As a matter of fact, Ferdinand Marcos was married in January 15th, 1925.
How can you prove that?
Well, it just so happens that I have a marriage license, marriage contract, copy from the Philippine government. And this is a copy of a copy of a copy. But you see that his wife was
Angelus Rebecca
Divina
Gracia.
Oñate.
There it is. There's a proof.
Okay, I can't really read the Oñate, but anyways,
It's
that's a
there.
different person totally.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
there.
That's a
And
different
the-
person.
Okay, now you got that, right?
Yeah.
And you see right there the date, January 15th, 1925. And in the Philippines, there is no such thing as divorce. You can't get a divorce in the Philippines. And the record number is down here on the bottom.
It's 342657.
657. 342. Yeah, 342 657.
In Davao City.
Issue at Davao City, January of 1925.
Yeah, the
January
date, the actual date of marriage is up there.
January 15th.
January 15th, 1925.
Can see it clearly.
Okay, so Marcos was never married to Imelda.
Wow.
And I can explain the rest of that, but that's okay.
Anyway, so
This is an early picture of Angelus. Now the CIA knows Angelus by the code name Midnight Lady. Hear that, CIA? I'm telling them.
Midnight Lady.
Midnight Lady. The reason that they know her as Midnight Lady was because that was her code name. The reason she was referred to Midnight Lady was because she would go to the library in the presidential palace at night to sign documents for the things that Marcos was doing with her wealth. Her wealth. You see, the Oñate family.
so in a way, they had a sort of like an agreement
Well, no,
when
he was her asset manager.
ah,
Being her husband, he took care of the paperwork and all that kind of stuff, and she just see. Let me kind of give you a little part there. Marcos was the asset manager of her estate. He made all the arrangements, but in the middle of the night, she would be the one that signed everything. They said they couldn't find Marcos's wealth. They found it. They just couldn't access it. Why couldn't they access it? Because he didn't sign anything. She did. And she couldn't be found. Why couldn't she be found? Was because the revolt in the Philippines, he couldn't sneak her out of the country. So she had to get hidden. Don't anybody want to find out, get her found, because that would be a real big problem. And I'll discuss that in a minute. But you have to understand the Oñates. The Oñate family goes back in history, hundreds of years. The Oñate family were the governors of large portion of the western United States when it was all Spanish owned. They were the governors.
The New Spain.
Yeah, when it was under Spain, under Spanish. The Oñate family, the Oñate were very big governors of the Philippines in the Spanish rule for almost 400 years in the Philippines. And in the transitional period from Spain owning the Philippines or controlling the Philippines, in the Royal Decree 01-4, Spanish public law, the King of Spain gave the Philippine archipelago to the Oñate family. The entire Philippine archipelago to this day is owned privately by one family. And the last heir to that family was Angelus Rebecca Divan Gracia Oñate. She was the last heir. I can show you Philippine record. This is the last will and testament. And you notice right down here in the corner, you can touch it, feel it. That's an actual seal of the Philippine government. Is it not?
Yes, are you sure? Sure it is.
That's an actual seal, and this document is on record with the Philippine government and with the United Nations. Now it's in Spanish, of course, and I don't read a word of Spanish, but this is the last will and testament of her, I believe it was her grandmother or her father. I don't really, because I don't read it. Can't tell you who it was, but this is record. This was gotten right there. You see the seal there.
Yeah,
it was gotten right out of the Philippine government. They know.
She's being signed over it.
Yeah. So this is an actual record, and pulled that right out of the archives. There it is. So they know. But we can go through. I can show you if I can dig through the book further and show you the actual title with a picture of the Philippine, where her name's right on the title of the entire Philippine archipelago. The real funny part about it is the Philippine government doesn't own 1 square meter of the Philippines. They don't own 1 square meter. It's all privately owned by the Oñate family. And she's dead now. He was murdered, assassinated in 2008. I didn't find out about that until 2012. It was important for me to find out about it, but I didn't find out about it until then. And it was the Philippine government, it was a major, K.O. Teton, who was a retired major for the Philippine government, and he's the one that poisoned her, assassinated her. After he convinced her to leave the protection that she had. Oh, here's the title page. Here's the title page. And if you look right down there in the bottom, it's Angelus Rebecca Divan Gracia Oñate signed it. And that's the entire Philippine archipelago. And this is public law of the Philippines.
The property of Her Majesty Queen Angelus Rebecca Divina Gracia Oñate. That's what it says right there.
This is it.
That's what it is.
This is on record.
Wow.
Okay. So, what does that mean? Now, let me explain how that is. In 2003, I was contacted, as some may have known from past videos. I am a former intelligence officer. Um, and I have certain particular talents that I was trained to perform in various ways and occupations and duties and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, in 2003, I was either late 2002, December, or January 2003, I was contacted that there was a assignment that they wanted me to do. And that assignment was to extract somebody from a foreign country. And I said, well, I'm retired, I'm not in that business anymore. They said, no, this one you might be interested in. You might want to consider because it's going to be quite substantial. So I said, okay, fine. Where do I got to go? Who's the client? They said, we got to go to Spain. So I went to Spain. And I can prove that in the stamps in my passport of that time. I mean, in order for me to be lying to you today, I would have had to start this lie in 2003. That probably wouldn't be too likely, because that would have meant I'd have to be a really good fortune teller to know that I'd be sitting here tonight telling you this story. So anyway, I was told to go to Madrid, Spain. I show up at a hotel room, a hotel that they told me to go to. I check in. It was kind of comical because I didn't speak Spanish, and they didn't really want to talk to me because I didn't speak Spanish until I started speaking Chinese to them, and they spoke English real quick. Anyway, so I get my room and I go downstairs, and I'm waiting in the lobby lounge for contact. And this very attractive Spanish woman walks in, looking for me, and she says she's my tour guide for my VIP tour of Madrid. So there's two people now in the lobby lounge that know that she's lying and that she's not a tour guide and I'm not here for tours Madrid. Okay, her and I. Everybody else that heard that is thinking, oh, a tourist. So we go on a tour and we go and see all the sights. She's driving around, everything's nice. And we circle the palace in Madrid like 3 times. And the cathedral, the Catholic cathedral, right across the street, all that stuff. And we see where Starbucks is and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, at that time I'm single. I'm thinking, maybe I can take her out on a date or whatever. And so we did go to Hard Rock and we did have some afternoon refreshment. She drops me off, says she'll see me again in the morning to continue the tour. So I think I got a second shot at that, But anyway, she didn't show up. Instead, I get a ticket for the tour of the palace. I go into the palace and I take the tour. They wouldn't let me sign in the book, the visitor's book. They wouldn't let me sign. And as we're going through the tour, as we go around, and the tour is amazing because you see the gold and the crowns and the dresses and things, and you think these people were living at about 15 levels above anybody. No wonder peasants were pissed off because they were tremendously vulgar with their display of wealth. Anyway, I get motioned through a side door and I enter another room and there's 2 gentlemen sitting at a table. There's a guy over across the hallway, a room that needs a guard. There's another guy with a coffee cart and finger food and stuff like that. One gentleman stands up and motions me over to the table. Supposedly he's Juan, the King of Spain, and the guy sitting across from him now you gotta remember, this is in 2003. And King of Spain introduces Ferdinand Marcos, the former president of the Philippines, to me in 2003. My comment was, as I was sitting down, looked pretty good for a dead guy, because he's supposed to be dead. So we get to the point of the conversation after a little bit of refreshment, coffee, and things, and they tell me, I said, so why am I here? And they said, well, I want you to go pick up my wife, Marcos State. And I kind of said, well, it ain't Imelda. And he smiles. And he hands me a picture, like the picture I just showed you, a whole snapshot size of and the roof. Okay. He shows me a picture of her. Okay. And I said, okay, fine. Where am I supposed to find her? Oh, she's in the Philippines. Do you know where? No. Okay. And then we discussed my fee, and they told me the fee, and it was of such an amount. I said, can I verify funds? Yeah. If you want to verify funds, I have to go to Barclays Bank in Cayman Islands. So went back to Spain. Again, I can prove this in my passport. I still have that passport. Went to the Cayman Islands, went to Barclays Bank. I said, is this amount there? Is my name there? And they said, yes. Yes. You have the PIN number. I said, I'll be right back. So I took off to the Philippines, made the trip to the Philippines. I got to the Philippines February 2003. It took me till about February 2004 to locate engine roofers like that, even Gracie and Yetta. I'm good at what I do, or it was good at what I did. Anyway, I became part of her inner circle the 21st day of June 2004. This is an extension of authority. If you read it down through there, you'll see it says 21st of June 2004.
Bring it up a little bit higher, and I guess
Is that
anybody reading this can pause the video and read it. Yeah, it's
okay. So, and then, it was signed by her and signed by the two guys. And my signature, I think that's my signature. Yeah, my signature. She gave me the number. I've always told you see down here in the thumbprint, you see the star number 9. She gave me that number, which is kind of interesting because my number is 9. How she knew that, I don't know. But that's the passport that would show all this, and that's the same passport. I still have that passport. And then, so that's the extension of authority. Then, a little bit later on, this is the registration. See, it was recorded and registered. Let me hold it up so nobody can say I'm obscuring anything. There, it was registered. So it's a document on file with the Philippine government, registered. You can go look it up. Then is a general letter of appointment.
that's
Now, this
in
general letter of
04,
appointment-
right?
Huh?
That's
This
in
is
04.
General letter of appointment was done. This was done the second day of September 2004. So it's right there, second day of September. And it was stamped and notarized. And there is the letter of instruction. Now, if you're reading the letter of instruction, it says that she appointed me as her special prosecutor and senior international investigator.
Now, how did this happen so quickly? I mean, you found her.
I'm good at what I do. Back then, I could find.
And you
I could
became
find
part of the
proverbial-
inner circle.
Yeah, I could find the proverbial needle in a haystack. I'm one of those guys that can find the needle in the haystack. That's what I do, or did. Anyway, as you've had time to look at it, you notice that she signed it, and I signed it. There's my signature. There's her signature. We'll put it right over here. Her signature, my signature. Okay? So that's the appointment. And she's appointing me as, it says, Reverend Regulus Peck, star 9, one of my trustees, senior international investigator and special prosecutor, for and on the behalf of myself and my foundation. And that's the foundation, the La Vida Foundation. Which, by the way, the Philippine government denies exists, but I'm going to show that in a minute too. Now, after we got that done, then she does this general letter of instruction. This general letter of instruction is a little bit different. You see that?
Right there. Okay.
That's a general letter of instruction. You can pause the video and look at these and read these.
All right, go on.
Okay. Now, the second page of this general letter of instruction, the top paragraph, is of great interest. If you want to read that.
It says, hereby giving the granting unto the said trustee emissary full authority to do and perform all the every act and deeds whatsoever require and necessary to be done in and about the premises as fully to all intents and purposes as I might or could do if personally present. I hereby ratifying and confirming all of that my said representative assigned shall lawfully do or cause to be done by virtue of hereof. This general letter of instruction will take effect immediately. In witness whereof I put my hand and seal this 30th day of August 2004, Angeles Rebecca Divina Gracia Oñate, MCD 01. Signed, fingerprint.
And then I sign.
Below is your signature of Reverend Gregory Louis Pack. All nine.
Okay. So that's that document. Now,
You got any other proofs that you're with her?
there's those that might say, "Oh, you're full of crap." Okay, fine. Here's a picture of me and her and I. Whatever's the proper grammar. She's a little bit shorter. Anyway, if you can make out this timestamp, you see the timestamp says
9:20 or something, 9:20 2004, something like that, 1:50 something p.m.
Yeah. So that's that one. So you say, well, that's nice. And then there's this one with her and I sitting together. I'm the one with the beard. And
What
you
papers
see,
do you have? And below? Oh, I
those-
see that picture that was showing us before.
Yeah, that's the picture.
This is
Yeah,
the
that's the
picture that they have on the table.
Right.
Right
And
there.
you see that there's 3 documents here. That one, that one, that one. 3 original documents.
What are those?
Well, I showed you a certified copy of that document. But now, just for a little added emphasis, let me see if I can give you this is the original document with the original seal. And it says just exactly
Oh,
what
that's the letter of instruction.
General letter of instruction.
Oh, those are the original. Okay.
that's the original.
Oh, wow.
One has been filed with the United Nations, and as far as I know, is with the Committee 300. One is with an attorney who subsequently tried to use this, saying he had the authority to sign for things, which of course he doesn't.
Is that
No, that's that attorney that they're talking about having the signatory authority. He's
Okay.
a fraud. Anyway, and that Wolfgang or whatever his name is, he's a fraud.
oh,
He wants to sue
the
me
German
for that.
guy?
Yeah, the German guy. Anyway, that's that. And so there's the original, the last one. There's the,
That's okay. I heard that. I heard it where there was a
wait.
video that Karen Hoodis had up on YouTube.
now, the
And
last
so forth.
one, here is the last paper, the last picture. And this one I'll hold this way. This one is her, and if you notice, she's putting her thumbprint on the very picture that I got in this pile.
Where is it? Let me pick it up again. I'll get it. Oh no,
that's not it.
that's the one
This is the picture.
Oh,
and
hold this.
she's putting her thumbprints on the picture
right there,
right there on the picture.
and that's her.
putting a thumbprint.
And
Putting the thumbprints
bring
on
it
the
up a
picture.
little closer. I'll hold it. I'll hold it.
Okay. Well, it's going to
Well,
curl.
just they can see it. It's pretty much the same
Yeah, I
picture.
could see.
Yeah, you can't. Wow,
Okay, now
mine.
you may ask, well, okay, fine. What has all of this got to do with anything? Well, as I told you in the beginning, Angelus Rebecca Divan Gracie Oñate was the wife of Ferdinand Marcos. There's no
Other.
way anybody can argue with that because that is a fact. Imelda Marcos was never married to Ferdinand. She was never part of Ferdinand Marcos's marital position. And all of the fabulous wealth of Marcos was all the property of Angelus Rebecca Divan Gracia Oñate. And to this day is privately owned by the estate of Angelus Rebecca Divan Gracia Oñate, which just so happens to be that I am the executor, trustee, president, and CEO of her estate. Here is a document. It's written in Tagalog, and I have the English translation right next to it, where it states, in 1999, for all of those people that claim that they have something to do with Angelus, or claim that they have some kind of a power of attorney or something like that, dated in 2008 and 2012, and all those people, there's some guy running around the Philippines now claiming that he's the king, right? That he had some kind of power of attorney or will that she wrote. When they assassinated or poisoned her, the people that were there were taking blank pieces of paper and taking her thumbprint and putting on black pieces of paper and forging her signature, trying to get into her estate. It's amazing. Anyway, this is the Tagalog version. And you notice over here, this is what it says. And basically it says that she put all of her assets in two corporations. One was the Erdo Foundation, Erdo Incorporated. ERDO stood for Angelus Rebecca Divan Gracia Oñate. And the other one was the La Divina Foundation. And it explains what needs to be done with those. And then these are the dates over here. So it was well published. And that's the official receipt of the publication.
That was in '99.
That was in 1999. So
So two
killing her meant
corporations.
absolutely nothing because she didn't own anything. It was all put in her corporation.
What are we talking about?
Okay, now, and then this is the English translation of that document. If anybody wants to look at it.
They can. Let me just close it up right there. You can pause the video and read the translation, if you will. We're gonna go on with this. Okay.
now.
Next.
Now, what does that mean?
That means that all her wealth was put away, put aside, in these two corporations.
So nobody could mess with it.
Yeah, but explain to people what that wealth means to the rest of the world.
Well, let me get to it. Okay, because we have to do this stepwise.
Yeah.
Now, the Philippine government, when they found out about this whole thing, they came out and said, "Oh, those two corporations don't exist. That's all a lie. It's a fraud. They don't exist. Never existed. Was never registered." You know, what do you expect from the Philippine government? There's one maxim of truth about the Philippines. A Filipino would rather tell a lie even if the truth sounds better. That's a fact. And the government far better than that. Here I would like to show you the actual documents. This is the Security and Exchange document, a genuine document issued by the Department of Security and Exchange of the Philippines. That one on that side is La Divina Incorporated. This one over is Erdo, ERDO Incorporated. Here are the original, genuine, government-issued documents that the government of the Philippines says don't exist. Gotcha. There it is. And who holds these? Who was given these documents? Yours truly. By Angelus Rebecca Divengracion Yate. She named me her executor and trustee.
Okay,
Special
Mr. Greg. And with what purpose?
The purpose was to protect her assets, to protect her wealth, so that nobody could misuse it. Then when I told her, when I asked her, I said, "Well, what would you like me to do with it? What would you like me?" She said, "When the time is right, you'll know." I said, "You want me to do something with it now?" She says, "No, I don't like Bush." Referring to President Bush. Then later on, when Obama was running, she said, "Absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with that Muslim." She didn't like Muslim. Sorry. That's her opinion. I don't want to get into that debate. But she referred to Obama as a Muslim. Anyway, how she knows, how she didn't know, I don't know. But the reason that we need to come forward now is because now is the time. Because now we have a proper administration interested in doing what is right and not doing what is being done by the bar. People need to understand what the real enemy is. The real enemy is the bankers, who are liars and thieves, and they're supported by the bar attorneys who are liars and thieves. Every attorney, I don't care who you are a liar and a thief. As a matter of fact, if you really go back and read the 13th Amendment of the Constitution of the Republic, you'll find out that an attorney is not supposed to hold public office because they can't be trusted. My opinion, but it does say an attorney is not supposed to hold public office. Now, what does this mean? The reason I'm bringing this forward was because I was shown a video by some woman that claims to be an attorney for the World Bank. If she is an attorney for the World Bank, then she knows everything I just shared with you, because she knows who Angelus Rebecca Divengracion Yate is. She knows that what she said about the German attorney, again, liar and thief, member of the bar, King's Bar, everything he said is a lie. He doesn't sign for anything. No signature. Marcos couldn't get into the accounts. The attorney can't get into the accounts. Nobody on this planet can get into those accounts except one.
Show us some of those accounts.
What are you reading my mind? Your mind reader?
I
couldn't.
probably.
Okay. Now, she was talking about, in her thing, about the central bank. Here is a document. And this document is about the central banks. Okay? I shouldn't really show you that, because you might be able to get bank accounts and all that, numbers and all that stuff. But it doesn't really matter, because you can't sign for it anyway. So it doesn't matter. And of course, the central banks will say, "Oh no, that doesn't exist." Why? Because the bankers and lawyers don't want you to know what the truth is. Excuse me, man, I'm trying to turn page. Excuse my tongue. Here's the next page.
I guess.
There's the next page. And then the next page. These are all central banks, folks. All central banks.
And all those lines.
And all those accounts.
All those lines are basically accounts with numbers. And those are gigantic numbers.
There's more. And
is that, by any chance,
wait a minute.
the
There's
gold
more.
that Karen?
These are all gold accounts.
This
is
Karen's talking about the
these
gold
are all the
that
gold
was
accounts.
put
And she
away.
says, Karen said, "Oh, we don't know, but it's all the." These are all the privately owned gold accounts. Karen, you listening? These are all the privately owned gold accounts. I hold them. I have the account numbers. just to let you know. Here's one that everybody in America might find to be rather interesting. Federal Reserve guys. Um, down here on the very bottom, and I'm going to do this very quickly because I don't want anybody to actually see the account number. Matter of fact,
181 so far. Wow. Central Bank,
Federal Reserve
Federal Reserve
Bank,
or United States of America with the count. Yeah. Okay.
Now, that gold deposit there is estimated at, you put 500, the number 500, then you follow it with 36 zeros. 36 zeros. And that's one of the smaller ones. Let me show you one for Switzerland. This is a Central Bank of Switzerland. I got to again cover up the account number because that's not a good idea. But there's the account number for Switzerland, right there. That's gold.
Wow.
Yeah, look how many zeros there are. Sorry if it's blurry.
Have you counted them?
My camera sucks.
Yes, 200 and something. You know, what do you?
It's 237 zeros.
237
Oh,
zeros.
Okay, so let me tell you what those numbers are. The one with 36 zeros is 500 undecillion. I don't know if you can see that. Undecillion.
Undecillion. Let me put this down here.
That's how much that 36 zeros is. Undecillion. It took me a while to find that number out. And then the other number is 800 quinoctigentillion. If you could even pronounce that.
Yeah.
800
I got a PhD in mathematics, and I didn't even know what these numbers were.
Quinoctigentillion. How?
Okay.
Now, here's
how?
That's ridiculous.
Here's here's the end of it, the last pages, and you see
195.
195 central banks.
And those we mentioned are just two of them.
That's the list of those accounts. I have several books like this one. What's in here?
Books.
Books. What's in here? This is a bank book. Books. Bank accounts, gold accounts in Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, in Coconut Bank of the Philippines, and each one of these folders is a set of banks. Each one of them has general letter of instructions for that set of banks that's in that folder. See? Each one of them.
Wow.
And I've got more of these than I know what to do with. General letter of instructions, general letter of inquiry, all signed by her, all giving me the authority to go in and check these things out. This one is...
Okay, let me ask you this. So all this money sitting there, being used for what? Or
no, it's not being
gaining
used for nothing.
Interest?
It's not being used for nothing.
That means that Karen's been talking to interest being owned already by these banks that automatically should be bankrupt.
Yeah,
completely.
No
well, they are. See, that's the whole fraud of it. That's
because they're working through fiat money.
That's why they're working on fiat. That's why they're working on this promissory note crap, this currency, paper currency, because these are all locked up.
They can't touch it, so they have to make fake money to make up for that.
It used to be that they were supposed to be able to fractionalize this. She allowed them to borrow against it, paying her interest. Karen was talking about the gold deposits in the Philippines. I got a letter in here from the Central Bank of the Philippines inviting Oñate
to settle.
No, not to settle, but inviting Oñate to come into the bank and talk about her account. I don't know where it is right up there. Oh, here's something. When I started finding out in 2012, the Philippine government sent in the Philippine National Police into an area where a bunch of squatters were. And I was there, still in the Philippines in 2012. and the squatters refused to leave the property. And the reason that they didn't want to leave the property was because that's where they were living. Something like 350 squatters or families were living. But you see, there was this mega world Chinese corporation that wanted to buy this area of land so that they could put up whatever they wanted to put up, offices or condos. Or, I don't know what the world they were doing, what the plan was. So they made some arrangement with some people in Congress to buy this, which is kind of weird because in the Philippines, any foreign entity can't own more than 40% of anything. If I were to go buy a house in the Philippines, I couldn't own more than 40% of that house. My spouse or partner or whoever would have to own the other 60%. If I go start a corporation in the Philippines, I got to spend 100% of my money to start the corporation, but I'm only going to get 40% ownership because it has to be given over to some Philippine national, Filipino or Filipino. So anyway, the squatters refused to move, refused to be forced off the property. So the Philippine government, you go back and check, the Philippine government opened fire through the PNP, opened fire on unarmed men, women, and children, killing a couple of people. And that's when I said, you know what? That's enough of that nonsense. And so here is a document I started issuing to people in the Philippines that were squatters to keep the government from moving them off the land. And to this day, those people are still living on Angelu's property. Because remember, the Philippine government does not own 1 square meter of the Philippines. And I don't care how many of you get upset by that. It happens to be the truth.
Let me just bring it up a little higher.
Okay.
And just to read the bottom part. Just in case you want to read a little bit, just pause the video and feel free to read.
Then it goes on. Second page.
Right there, right there.
And, you know, it's like we can... the point
No,
being,
that'll be another video. Maybe we can go through
we can
these
go through all
documents.
this stuff. But the point being, let me get to the signature page. So you see the signature page. Now this one's a blank because anybody can come and show up and I just do it. You see, there's a signature page. Now who signs it? Who signed the document?
Reverend L. Peck, ARR.
Director, Lieutenant Colonel.
There it is.
I signed the document. I'm the one that kept those squatters on the property. Then when they finally found me, they arrested me. And they wanted to put me in the hole. And some agency boys came and said, no, you send him back home. So, folks, I don't care what you may be being told by all of these so-called experts, so-called bankers, so-called crooks. This is the truth. Now, I am excited about one thing. Oh, here's the thing. Here's the thing here. This ought to, I'll get it out.
This video should be in response to bring light to other people.
Here is Angelus, Miss Angelus Rebecca Diva Gracia Oñate. Okay? And
What kind of
dear
document?
Oñate, this is to acknowledge your letter about your account and all that stuff. And please show up at the bank. Wait a minute. Let me read it. And it's signed by the deputy director. Okay? This was March 25th, 1998. They're inviting her to the bank regarding your accounts with the Central Bank of the Philippines. Account number MCD01, right there. I won't read you the rest of the number. But this is the gold deposit at the Central Bank of the Philippines. Quick shot. There it is. That's the quick shot. And here's a second one. Again. Whoops.
Yeah,
Give me
just
books. Give me paper. There's a second one. There, see? There's a second one. Bring it over.
yeah,
There it is.
right there.
I think there's 4 of them in total, where they're inviting her back. Then you saw the top here, 777 Morningstar Foundation.
What is that?
That's another one of those mega accounts. You want to know who the signatory? What was her name again? The lady from the
Karen.
Karen.
Who does?
Karen, you said nobody knows who the signatory is. I know who the signatory is.
She didn't mention anything about the signatory, but I think
she
her
said
comment was, oh yeah, she mentioned
that the guy was a signatory,
uh,
and that's if he was a signatory, why has none of the accounts been
the
opened?
attorney in Germany. Yeah.
Why has nothing been done? They aren't missing. The accounts are not missing. They know where every one of these accounts are. Every single account is known. Every central bank. Hello, College of Governors. The College of Governors are the governors of the central banks. I got the account numbers. Now, you might think that that's a big deal, but I got news for you. Notice we talked about the letters of instruction. Every one of these accounts, I have specific instructions as to what to do with these accounts. I'm encouraged by Connie.
Karen?
What's her name?
Karen.
Karen. I'm encouraged by what Karen said. She said something about there's 100 countries that want to come back to the establishment of common law. I'm in favor of that. Contact me. I'll help you. She's also encouraged me by saying that all these gold deposits and all this wealth was supposed to be directed to help the people, not the bankers, not the governments, but the people. And in this instructions, I have the minutes from the corporation meeting, board of directors, where they're naming me as the executor and trustee and all that stuff, and how this is supposed to be done. The way it's supposed to be done is 70% of the wealth is supposed to be used for the betterment of the population, for the general good of the people of this planet. Not held by bankers, not held by lawyers, not held by governments. 30% is to cover whatever financial burdens there may be for governments. But the bulk is to be used for the good of the people. That's what's mandated in the letters of instruction. So you want to fix the problem? No problem. That's how it works. There is no question that the accounts are real. There's no question that the wealth is real. There's no question the origin of it. And there is no question who the lawful signatory is for these accounts.
I guess they want to have more history on the history of it, of that. No. Well, they can refer to Karen for some of the videos. She has real good information. That's where it comes from. But anyhow,
so the end of this is the last thing Angelus told me, the last time I saw her, because I said, "Mommy," we referred to her as Mommy. I said, "Mommy, what do you want me to do?" And she said, "When the time comes, you'll know what to do." She didn't want me doing anything with Bush. She didn't trust Bush. She thought Bush was a lying, was not necessarily an honorable man, considering that he aided the assassination of Kennedy or his family. It was Bush Jr. that was actually president at that time, but it was the family. Papa Bush was the one that reordered the change of route for the limousine to turn down in front of the book depository in Texas. You have to remember that George Sr. was a director of the CIA at the time. So the original path was to go straight down the road. But at the last minute, it would turn and went in front of the book depository. And then there were 3 shooters. And that was supposed to be released by President Trump. But the reason it hasn't been released is because Papa Bush is still alive. And he could still be charged. So they have to wait for him to die. And then once he's dead, that will be the last actor involved in that assassination. You also have to understand how that works. Kennedy was assassinated because he wanted to fix this problem. He wanted to get rid of what's called the obligation. This is the obligation. He wanted to get rid of this. He wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve fraud. They killed him. Then the next one, Ronald Reagan, wanted to do the same thing. They attempted. The only reason he didn't die was a nitro bullet didn't explode. Think I'm crazy? Now we have a third non-lawyer sitting in the White House. What do you think? What do you think? All of the media spin, all of the bull about how everybody, he's doing all this game. They're setting the stage, folks. Beware of what is about to take place. The reason that both sides of the aisle are trying to distance Mr. Trump is because he's not a card-carrying bar member of the King's Bar. He's not a liar and a thief. He's an honest man trying to do something good for the Republic, not the demonocracy. You also got to look up the 2 constitutions of the United States, and you'll find out that everything since 1871 is a lie and a fraud because they converted the United States into a corporation in 1871, February 21st, 1871. Everything is a lie and a fraud. Now, in a lawsuit that I filed in federal court, if anybody would have read it, in the last pages, I included all of Ann Delusion and said in the lawsuit that if the powers that be want to end this fraud, I would be very open to negotiating to reestablish the U.S. dollar, backed by 70% gold, using the gold account that's in the Federal Reserve, which, by the way, just the interest at 4% would pay the U.S. debt, because the interest on that would be over $20 trillion.
And right now we're at 23, 24, something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's just one account. That doesn't account Mr. Rockefeller, Mr. Whoever, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all the rest of you. You all know what I'm talking about. I remember sitting there with Mommy one day when she was talking to one of the Rockefellers, and he was crying on the phone. She was yelling at him about what they were trying to do with her account. These people know. They're hoping you don't know. Think I'm crazy? I wish I were. Who wants this job? The part that's really bad about this is when she did this to me, when she did this, in the corporate minutes it says, this is non-transferable, this is irrevocable. I can't give it away, I can't sell it, I can't assign it to nobody else, and it cannot be questioned. And this was a unanimous decision by the board, not just her. 9/10 ownership is 9/10 of possession. Last closing statement. She put everything in here and here. Who has the corporation? I do. I am the president and CEO, chairman of the board of both corporations. So you want to negotiate, you want to solve the economic strife of the world?
This would be
Every country of the world is supposed to be able to use the population thereof, use and benefit the financial stability of 70% of these accounts, which, by the way, date all the way back to Solomon. We can go into that discussion later, because I happen to be sitting in it. So those that are interested, you governments out there that are struggling with your economic system, call me. Get in touch with me. The gold sitting in your central bank, I can allow to be used, not to be spent, but to allowed to be fractionalized, borrowed against, to eliminate your debt. Of course, there will be restrictions on that. You'll have to clean up your act. And that goes for the United States corporation. You want to fix this? No problem. You don't want to fix it? You're going to crash and burn, because you can't kick the can down the road no more. Mr. Trump, I can fix the problem. I can make America great again. But there will be a price to pay. We'll have to clean the swamp. And I'm not just talking about draining the water. I'm talking about killing the crocodiles. Because that's how you fix a swamp. You get rid of the predators that are in the swamp.
have to fix Congress.
That's what I'm saying. Get rid of the predators. Congress, as far as I'm concerned, there should be a term limit. You get 8 years. Is it 8 years or 6 years? No, you get 6 years. In my opinion, that's maybe 4 years too many. But okay, let's leave it at 6 years. There should be no term longer than 6 years in Congress. That means every 6 years we should be gutting Congress. Because some of you people like Nancy Pelosi, oh my God, how long she doesn't even have a full function of her mental faculties. And then you have, what's her name, Waters?
Maxine Waters.
Maxine Waters is a flaming lunatic.
Well, they're trying to impeach her already.
Well, impeach her. They should charge her with treason. She's inciting rebellion. That's a felony. I know. She's documented that on YouTube.
Okay, look, as far as that, people argue that Trump started all this inflammatory stuff and said they'll even pay for the bail for people that punch people in the face. But people forget who started the fights, which was Antifa and all these resistant groups that are paid by George Soros, rich billionaire who wants to destroy this country.
What's funny, wait, let me finish that guy. Mr. Soros, you're a pulper. You don't own crap. You think you do because you're in league with the bankers. But everything you own is based on fiat money that is worthless. You know it and I know it. And you can't access the gold, and that pisses you off. I could seal your situation in a heartbeat. And you'd be working at Jack in the Box for a living. You piece of crap. Trying to turn brother against brother and native against native, all for your globalist agenda. You globalists out there, you lose. God wins.
This would be a good time to make a call to those seeking their change, the way out of enslavement. Well,
yeah, anybody that calls himself a citizen, you don't understand what that means. The word citizen means slave or indentured servant. You don't understand how the law works. You don't understand that you're under the king of the world, the Roman Empire. There are 3 stars on the Washington, D.C. flag. They represent Washington, D.C., a district, London, a district, and the Vatican. Why? Because Constantine, the idiot he made the office of Pope the vice emperor. So when Constantine died, who became the emperor of Rome? The Pope, not the spiritual Pope, Catholic Church Pope, but the office of Pope as an administrator to the Roman Empire. That's why the Roman Empire was never conquered. It just was absorbed and disappeared into the shadows. So the king of the world is actually the office of the Pope and whoever sits in the office of the Pope. And that's why they tell you have to have a driver's license, because it's a privilege to go down the king's roads. And the Act of 1871 was to turn this corporation, the United States, back into a corporation owned by the king. That's a fact. You want to solve the problem? Marcos's wealth was never Marcos's wealth. It was his wife's wealth. Angelus Rebecca Divan Gracie Oñate was the last heir to the Oñate estate. That's why she gave it to me. And the reason she gave it to me was because I granted her her freedom. Because she said all she wanted was her freedom. And as a lieutenant colonel, I could not violate her will. So whatever they offered to pay me wasn't worth betraying my oath. So I said, so be it, you're free. And I did not return her to Spain. And because of that, she gave me this.
Wow.
So I've had it since 2004. She told me not to do anything with Bush, absolutely nothing with Obama. And now we got a shot. And now we have people that are beginning to understand.
For anybody out there, they can leave comments below.
And I
We're
really
willing
welcome
to
the comments
sit down
of
and
you
talk
that,
about it.
Yeah, those people that comment and say that I'm a lunatic and all that stuff. You can say whatever you want, but I got the original documents that says otherwise. And the powers that be know everything that I said is true and correct. Whether you morons skipping up the streets, agree or not, I can't help your ignorance. Pick up a book and pretend you know how to read. I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you.